And we're back. Howdy y'all, this is Ethan Bonreal, back at it again, giving you that gay shit you love while playing some more Earthbound. So last time we were here, we met some tiny green nerds, found out that some of our friends were kidnapped, and murdered a lot of aliens as revenge for that until we ended up in their base. I also talked about why a lot of gays end up being versatile later in their lives after being strictly tops or bottoms, and why not all men who have sex with men are necessarily gay or bi. This time around, more combat, more aliens, and more of me musing on the same old gay shit you hear all the time from me. Basically, I'm going to be talking about self-esteem, self-worth, and also I'm going to talk a little bit about my relationship with my mom. But, you know, get into it. That's the Ethan Bonreal you've hopefully come to love, because that's what you're getting, fam. So, you're probably wondering, Ethan Bonreal, where you been at? And my answer to that is I've been just minding my own gay business, and by that, I mean I applied to a new job and I got it, which I'm hyped about. It's not a good job, mind you, but it is better than the terrible one I work right now, and I am super glad about that because it is a move forward. It also pays a good bit more, even though it also still does not pay very much. But you know, it's progress, and I'm very hyped about it. We're gonna rearrange our inventory just a little bit here, and by that I mean get rid of some shit. So let's go ahead and give this rock candy to Paula. Here we go, and we will feed Ness the PSI caramel. There you go, Ness. Eat that. So, other than that, you know, I've just been working a lot. It's almost Christmas, and my job is just extremely busy constantly. I'm usually standing in the same place for several hours at a time, and that's fine, but, you know, it makes me a little bit cranky. But, to lighten the burden on me, my coworkers are homosexuals. I have a few new coworkers. One of them is a lesbian, and she basically just clocked me as a homosexual the second she saw me, which was really, really funny to me. She just basically was like, I guess she just kind of took a look at me and was like, okay, I know what you are, queen. And she just started telling me about her girlfriend slash partner. I don't believe they're married or engaged, but she alternates between calling her both. And she just started telling me about gay shit, and I was like, I'm all about it, girl. Yeah, I love it. Give it to me. And, you know, actually I had a funny moment with her yesterday where she actually caught me checking out this guy who was buying manga because, okay, in my defense, I just love a man with a big, beautiful beard. And he had one, and I was basically just staring at him in the middle of the store in front of everyone, trying to figure out which way his intestines turn, like I was some sort of evil homosexual, but, spoilers, I am an evil homosexual. And she just saw me plotting my nefarious gay plots on him, and just kind of gave me a look. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I forgot myself. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna heal Jeff a little bit. But that was just a very funny interaction. She just looked at me, and I was all about it. You know, my job actually really attracts a lot of gay people to it. I'm pretty sure one of my other coworkers is either bi or a lesbian. One of my previous favorite coworkers was also bi or a lesbian, and she was really cool. I liked her a lot. She liked to drink a lot, though. I wasn't about that. She wanted to invite me to hang out, but she just loved slurping up alcohol. And I just, that's not my look. I don't drink, in part because I already have trouble with impulse control. I feel like if I started drinking, I would just do it uncontrollably. Because I have a lot of existential dread, and also I'm gay and depressed. And as some of you may know, homosexuals do have higher rates of substance abuse, and it's not because you're gay, it's because of the situations that a lot of us live in. You know, if you're depressed, it's fun to drink, basically. And I'm just gonna nip that in the bud by not drinking at all. Alright, let me heal these nerds up. So we're gonna just go ahead and pull out the big boy healing, because I want the... Oh, actually, he's at full health. What am I doing, Mom? Let's piece the fuck out of here. but I'm just gonna not drink, because I think that will save me a lot of grief and make my life a lot better in the long run. Because I already have trouble not impulsively having sex. Like, if it's alcohol, which is a lot more accessible, I would just do it a lot. But I guess that vaguely ties into my topic today, kind of, maybe. And it's doing that in part because I'm going to force this topic to happen. So, you know, I've been talking with my mom a lot more lately, it's interesting, you know. For y'all who are long-term listeners, you would know I have a complicated relationship with my mom. And we just, you know, my mom was not, she was anti-supportive, in fact, when I came out. She was very homophobic. And in addition to that, she just has this attitude, or she's had this attitude, where basically I am her child and I am basically her possession, and she can just say or do what she wants to me. And I don't really like that. Basically, it made me a very, very neurotic and sad gay child, and I'm not about it. But, you know, after I moved away for college, it basically improved our relationship a lot, because it let me set boundaries where I could basically just stop talking to her if she was being rude, and she also started to miss me a little bit. But it's annoying because, as I've mentioned before, I don't really like my mom telling me what to do or giving me advice, in part because of her own homophobia. I basically had to learn about a lot of stuff myself, because we just couldn't have a close relationship, because she was just very antagonistic towards me for a long time. And so, you know, I just learned how to navigate a lot of things on my own, and I have this memory that I've talked about before, where I was talking about how one of my friends basically had been attacked by someone, and we couldn't really do much because his family was homophobic, and we didn't want to out him by saying, okay, he was like hanging out with this homosexual doing drugs, and he beat him up, and how was, like, it's just hard to navigate, because it's like, okay, I don't want to out this person. And her response to that was basically like, you know, gays live in a dark underworld, and you should just not be gay if you don't want that to happen. And that just really, I was like, I wasn't surprised by that answer, but it was just like, okay. Because I was really trying to bridge the gap with her at that point in time, but it was too early. But anyway, so that's just the kind of relationship I've had with my mom for the most part. But, you know, I really like my mom a lot. She's really funny and she's really smart. And we also have we are very similar people despite it all, and that's for better and worse. And I've just been thinking about the ways that we have things in common. And I'm trying to, part of the reason why I'm talking to her more is, you know, I really am having trouble navigating how to forgive my mom a little bit for basically being really homophobic and just not being there for me in a lot of ways. Like, she's materially been there, like she does mom stuff, but she just won't interact with that part of my life, and that's a major part of my life, and that's or part of my life that was the most complicated. You know, like I've said, I've been bullied a lot, people have been very aggressive towards me. And I would basically be bullied at school and then come home and basically be bullied by my mom too, which is it's very frustrating, which inadvertently, like I've mentioned in a previous video, made me interested in music, because I would basically just stay at school and practice music as long as physically possible so that I didn't have to go home. Which, I mean, I guess I have her to thank for that, but there are other things going on too. But the reason why I want to know more about her is just, this is part of me trying to work out, thinking of ways to forgive her, basically, and to basically be at peace with myself, because I realize that my anger at my parents really holds me back in life a lot, but it's like something that I won't really ever get over until they apologize. Like, that's it. Like, that's it. They have to. Like, for me to really be close to them, like close beyond a superficial level, they have to apologize, and I don't think that's something that either of them will ever do. And it's very frustrating to think about that. But I'm gonna put this conversation on pause because y'all need some Earthbound plot, and I have to remember what I was talking about. Oh hey, it's our dad. What a convenient distraction. What? Of course, I remember what conversation I was having before. No. Thank you, Dad. Goodbye. Anyway, so this is the point in that game where you start finding almost all of the enemies have psychic powers. And what is significant about this is that aliens in Earthbound have psychic powers. That is what all aliens have, unless they are robot aliens. Robot aliens, it's like 50-50. Some of them do have psychic powers, others don't. And the reason for that is that psychic powers in Earthbound originate from aliens. Aliens are the ones who inadvertently taught humans how to have psychic powers. And I'm going to give you a brief recap of Earthbound 0/Mother 1, which is the prequel to this game. Basically, aliens abducted humans. Humans, while they were abducted, actually learned how to use psychic powers from aliens on accident. And the aliens got pissed. They were just there for experiments. They didn't want humans learning all that shit. And so the humans escaped, and basically people who knew psychic powers got distributed through the population. And our characters are descendants of those nerds. And the plot of Mother 1 basically involved aliens trying to track down people who had psychic powers and kidnapping a lot of them so that they could basically get rid of them. And the final boss of Earthbound 0/Mother 1, the first game, sought to basically kill the party members because they all had psychic powers. But they didn't succeed, which is why we have these nerds here with their giant ass heads. Because somewhere along the line, someone with psychic powers had some babies, and now we have a second game to play, which is handy for us. But the significance of psychic powers is that there is no defense against them. You can defend against the element they have, so you can defend against fire or lightning to mitigate PSI fire or lightning, but you can't actually mitigate the PSI damage itself. So when you are attacked by an enemy that has psychic powers, you basically just need to kill it faster than it kills you. And that is why Earthbound can be extremely hard to play, because that is really what the game relies on. You just really don't have that much of a way to defend against psychic powers. You do get some elemental resistances, but you basically get one shot a lot, and it's very not handy for us. It is not handy for us at all. But lucky for us, we have 4 party members, and the enemies usually don't. And we have a lot more HP than most enemies, which is double handy. But this is the point in the game where you basically either kill all of the enemies or they just obliterate you. And you also have to really be paying attention to what enemies you're fighting. So a good example of that is if I had have used a PSI power on that Starman Super we were just fighting, we would have killed ourselves on accident, because that innately reflects psychic powers back at enemies, and our psychic powers are strong enough that we would kill ourselves basically if we hit that enemy. So right now, if I used PSI Gaming Gamma, I would just kill my entire party instantly, and I would be very sad face, but I'm not going to do that right now. So our first priority is to kill the Starman Super through any means possible that are not psychic. And Paula actually is probably going to die in this encounter, but I'm fine with that, because she, not to be toxic, but she's not very useful when they have the psychic shields. Now, Jeff can actually craft an item that will destroy psychic shields, but I don't have it on me because it's like enemies that have the shields are pretty irregular, even though it is useful to get rid of them. Oh shit, Puno. You fucked. Alright. Oh my god, okay, that's good. So this is actually one of the hardest enemy compositions you can get in the game. The Starman Super will revive enemies and then also bring back, or not revive enemies, it will call in for extra enemies to assist it, and that robot with the goofy eyes and the arms will heal enemies. And so basically what happens is it just endlessly keeps healing itself. and summoning more people until it overwhelms you. Which is why it would be useful to have psychic powers here. But we don't, so we just gotta deal, fam. And now that the Starman Super is dead, we can take advantage of our psychic powers and just get rid of all these jokers. Anyway, I guess I can jump back to what I was talking about before. You know, like I said, I was talking to my mom more. And, you know, I realized that we're very similar people in a lot of regards. Because something I do, and I think this is like, it's not only a thing gay people do, but it's also like a very gay thing to do, is that I tend to really give a lot of myself to other people in order to justify my existence. And I've said this like verbatim in a previous video, but I'm gonna talk more about that in this video. So what I mean by justify my existence is like, I realize, even though I'm a big ol' loud and proud homo, I still do feel a little bit of guilt. Well, it's not even guilt, I just still feel a little bit like a bad, naughty homosexual, basically. And I try to do things to prove that I'm still deserving of love. And so, some of the things I'll do are like, you know, basically I will try really hard to be there for other people, even if they don't reciprocate that. And I will try really hard to, you know, just give a lot of myself to whatever I'm doing. And my mom does that too, actually. She does that with her family, and she does that with her mom. She really tries to be there for her mom a lot, even though she feels like her mom doesn't appreciate that. And it's something that can really run you ragged really easily, you know. I think that was the source of a lot of my depression when I was younger. You know, I really liked this one guy, and I've talked about him before. And, you know, I basically just gave the entirety of my being to him, really. Like, I was his person. Like, I just gave it all to him because, you know, I was really in love with him, and I thought the only way that I would be, like, okay with who I was is if he liked me back. And that is very sad. Actually, it's a very miserable existence. So, you know, what ended up happening was that I eventually stopped talking to him, which was for the best. And I'm gonna spy on the Starman Super. It actually has a rare item for poo, and if you spy, it actually automatically steal the item for you, which I've never mentioned before in a video, but now you know, nerds. So, please have it. No, it doesn't. It only has a 1 in 128 chance of having that item. But, you know, I think a lot of us do that, because I see other gays, and I see other gay guys who are younger than me, and I see how they interact with their friends, and a lot of the things that they do are basically kind of like please, P-L-E-A-S, to basically have other people like them and care about them, because I think that a lot of us intrinsically believe that we're not likable, because, you know, we can't even put a word to it a lot of times. We just feel bad, and we feel like no one will ever like us or legitimately be interested in who we are as a person. And that's something really hard to struggle with when you're growing up. And we carry it to adulthood a lot of times, and deal with it in a bunch of different ways. I think one of the ways that people deal with self-worth is, one, like I said, you know, giving yourself to other people a lot, you know, always being the shoulder to cry on, always being the cheerleader for other people, but never for yourself. And on top of that, we also tend to really honestly find kind of bad ways to feel good about ourselves, not to be toxic. A really good example is kind of, you know, like my relationship with sex sometimes, where I will have sex because I feel bad about myself. And actually, you know what we're gonna do? We need to keep at least one of these multi-bottle rockets, though, so I need to check something out. We're gonna throw the super bomb. And we have another multi-bottle rocket, so this is the last one we're gonna use. And then we should be good. Okay, let's see how this goes. He'll probably be one shot. There you go, Starman, you're dead. Okay, good. But, like I said, I sometimes have sex because I feel bad about myself, and I use that as a way to feel better, but that inadvertently will make me feel bad. And likewise, I'm not the only person who does this, and I really want to emphasize this for y'all who, like, are like new to interacting with other gay people, that this is like a really common thing that a lot of us do, and this is something that you might find yourself doing, is even when you feel really unattractive and you feel really bad about yourself, sometimes there's almost this pathological urge to pursue sex, even as it makes you feel really bad. Because it's the only way, you know, really to make yourself feel good about yourself. It's the only way to be like, okay, someone wants or likes me. But even as you do it, you still feel bad about yourself. And it makes you feel worse because you don't believe it. You don't legitimately believe that that person actually likes you. And that's very rough. It's very, very rough. It's sad, too. It's a very miserable existence. Alright, we need to heal up our PSI here. But my disclaimer as always is that, you know, gay people, being gay in itself doesn't make you depressed or anything. It doesn't make you sexual automatically. It's the conditions that a lot of us live in. You know, when you're bullied, or you're just ostracized, or you're alienated, or you feel afraid of your own family, and you feel afraid of being yourself with your own family, you look for other ways to feel good about yourself, and sometimes that involves, you know, just sucking a lot of cock. And that's just how it works. I'm sorry, fam. And other times it means, you know, doing a lot of drugs, or other times it means somewhat... This seems positive, but sometimes it involves, you know, being a really good student or being a really good friend. Sometimes you can really be so good at something that it's actually a form of self-harm. And what I mean by that is that when you try to do something and you do that thing because it is a way for you to feel better about yourself, but you don't feel good about yourself, you can inadvertently force yourself to try to do something so well that you make yourself not take care of yourself. So a really good example of this is if you do or try so hard at school that you are losing sleep, and that if you don't do well at school, you want to hurt yourself, or you feel bad about yourself as a human being. That is what I mean. And that's also like just that's a common thing I've noticed in gay people, and that's something I actually used to do for a long time. It took me a really long time to be comfortable with not, like, being super good at school, because I realized it was actually, like, kind of destroying me a little bit, not to be toxic. It was just making me feel really bad, because I was just staying up, studying, and I was trying so hard at school that it was just running me ragged, and I just really had to let it go and be like, okay, making bees is okay. Making bees is very okay, because all that matters is I get that degree and I get a fucking job. But I realized that part of the reason why I even had that issue was that, you know, being a good student was like part of my identity that I used to distract from the fact that I didn't feel good about myself, and I didn't feel good being a gay person. But I think I'm gonna put this conversation on pause. I don't know. Is this a very preachy episode? Am I giving woke truth knowledge? Do y'all like what I'm saying here? You know, if you're feeling it, let me know. I don't know if this is always relatable. Like, you know, the people I know personally, this applies to in some ways, but that's not always 100% true for other people on the internet. You know. So I'm very curious how y'all feel. Do we have any more food? Okay, we got some rice gruel. Let's go ahead and chomp on this rice. And we are going to give that to Jeff. There you go. Ooh, man. Use that delicious. I don't know how to pronounce that. And we're gonna apply the brain food lunch to Ness so he can get his PP back. There you go, Ness. Ooh, man, he got a lot of PP from that. And next we are going to honestly have Pooh drink water. You know, I've never mentioned this, but Pooh actually recovers PP just from drinking water because of his training. And I have mentioned this one, Pooh recovers less HP when he eats Western foods because he is not used to eating them. Or recovers less HP when he eats Western foods, so if you put a hamburger in his mouth, he'll only recover like 1 HP, which is really funny. Because it can make taking care of him a little bit frustrating, but also he can heal himself with his psychic powers, so it's not that big a deal. There we go. So I think I'm going to cut the video here. This has been going on long enough. You know, my final comments: if you are homosexual and you try to really give yourself to your friends, thumbs up to you, but, you know, try to also make sure you take care of yourself. If you are a homosexual and you try to be really good at school or sports or some activity because you feel bad about who you are, also thumbs up to you, but, you know, consider, you know, meditating on that a little bit. And I don't mean literally meditating, I just mean, you know, think about why you do the things you do and try to maybe address some of the things you feel about yourself, because like I've said in a previous video, I think gay people are very, very talented when we are willing to believe in ourselves and we are willing to, you know, avoid looking for easy ways to feeling good about ourselves. But anyway, I want to thank y'all for watching this video. Have a good one, and goodbye.